don't even know how to respond to this level of pure delusion. And I say delusion because the only other option is lizard people at EA who legitimately don't care about anything but money, which is a rather depressing thought. Unfortunately, this is the world we live in. People like the EA representative who told Parliament loot boxes are just surprise mechanics. Since this is EA's most recent and frankly disturbing lie, we should start there. Electronic Arts is a company who made $5.15 billion with a B in revenue in 2018. One of the big players in the AAA scene, EA owns FIFA, Madden, and the NBA 2K series, as well as owning some of gaming's most loved and iconic franchises like Dead Space, Battlefield, and Mass Effect. But do you know how EA gets many of these titles? Well, EA is a publisher. Their job is to market the game. They suck up smaller studios who they see as profitable, milk them till we can't stand to see another fucking FIFA, then leave those franchises, studios, and games to die out back with the rest. Remember Dead Space? Back when that game was good? What about Mass Effect Andromeda? Mass Effect 3 was great. What happened? EA. It's important to note though, EA isn't Respawn. EA isn't BioWare. EA isn't Take-Two. It's important to make the distinction that Respawn is developers who make games and really want to create something that people will love. Sure, at the end of the day, they're still a business. They still got to make their money, but these game studios usually are not trying to push out a poor product. It comes from the outside pressures of companies like EA, Activision to meet these deadlines from their publishers that pushes them into this sort of crunch and forces them to work in this weird hell known as game development. Crunch is definitely a part of any artistic endeavor, don't get me wrong. The race to get as close to perfect as you can towards the end is only natural. But you know what isn't? Working that way on the entire project, because some asshole in a suit promised everyone your game would be out by Christmas. And this practice is becoming shockingly and increasingly prevalent, with the day one patch becoming infamous among AAA games. Unfinished or incomplete games at launch are becoming so bad that it legitimately becomes difficult to recommend anyone buy a game at $60, and games are only going up in price to develop. Realistically, games shouldn't be the same price they were 10 years ago. But we've become so used to that $60 that companies like EA will do anything to make you forget you're spending a whole lot more than that. Fortnite is a shining example of everything I hate in gaming today. Fortnite is a battle royale where you drop into a zone, collect loot, and try to be the last one standing. You build stuff, shoot stuff, and dance.
Oh my goodness! You got the moons.
Anyway, it's the most popular game and has been for a long while now. But most people forget Fortnite launched as a third-person co-op survival game, like with zombies. This is a very different game than the Fortnite that gave Epic Games its own government-level income. All because Fortnite ripped off the Battle Royale mode in a game called PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Now, it's hard to say really ripping off here, because PlayerUnknown's Battleground is based off a movie based off a Japanese book, so it gets a little weird there. But I would argue that PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds taking it to a new media is much different than Fortnite simply slapping a game mode onto an unsuccessful game to try and make money. But Fortnite shows a pattern that I see even in the parliamentary hearing with these companies. A constant pivot in the direction to make the most money. Fortnite not working out. Pivot. People caught on to our child gambling ring. Pivot. People don't like Anthem because it's a dog shit excuse for anything finished. pivot, and Tim Sweeney is like this era's Rockefeller, destroying all competition and forcing us to use Epic. See, Epic has started to piss people off with their exclusivity contracts in the PC world. Valve's Steam is and has been the choice of most PC gamers for the place to buy and store their games, like a digital shelf that you could show to your friends, read reviews, and even find others who love that game to talk or play with. The Epic Games Store has Borderlands 3. Fuck, I love Borderlands. You see, Epic has made an unapologetic attempt to kill all competition in this space with their Epic Games Store. At first, I got excited. Someone can take Steam down a peg. Maybe they'll learn how to count to 3. Maybe Origin will finally figure out how to compete with Steam in any meaningful way. Oh, I was so wrong. So naive. You see, the Epic Games Store is basically if someone ate Steam, digested all the good parts, then shit what was left on a plate for you. You can only buy one game at a time. There is no shopping cart. This is standard for the whole ass internet, not just gaming. Amazon has one. Steam has one. Even some CSGO, like illegal skin gambling sites, have a shopping cart. It's hard to add your friends, and this is just a small list of problems. But for the sake of brevity, let's cut to the meat of it. Epic has been buying up AAA releases at the last second to be exclusive on the Epic Games Store. Did you want to buy Borderlands 3? Well, it's only on the Epic Games Store for the next 6 fucking months. Epic Games is not trying to provide a superior service to Steam. They are not trying to be better than Steam, like how you should when you compete for business. No, they don't care how shit the store is. Fortnite has given them so much money that they're just gonna kill Steam. Fuck it. If you can't get it on Steam, you won't even notice the extreme lack of anything remotely consumer friendly. EA and Activision are not new at this either. They've been using and abusing their customers with predatory monetization, misleading advertising, and flat out treating their customers like a bunch of idiots who will buy anything with the right title. Well, since you've listened to me rant this far, I'll address the elephant in the room.
Do you consider loot boxes to be an ethical feature of your games? Kerry?
Well, first, we don't call them loot boxes. I think that was
Whatever term you wish to apply
yeah,
to them,
so,
do you consider them ethical?
So what we look at as surprise mechanics.
All right, we got it. We got the loot box, and we finally get to see. Please, just don't screw me over. Give me something, anything. I got a Farah portrait. 3 duplicates.
I think it's important to look at this. So if you go to a I don't know what your version of Target is, but a store that sells a lot of toys, and you do a search for surprise toys, what you'll find is that this is something people enjoy. They enjoy surprises.
Hero crate costs 110. Starfighter crate's 120, and for some reason the Trooper crate is 200. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do the hero crates first and see how those do. And
sounds like the best one.
Yeah. So
But
it looks like you get the same stuff for all of them.
It's really strange that the hero.
Well, I mean,
crate
like the
costs
other
less.
items is the same for everything. So we're gonna open up a hero crate first. So here we go. Let's see what I get. The very first crate.
4 of them.
Yep. Okay, reveal everything. I got a level 2 Boba Fett. Okay, and I got a victory pose for Chewbacca.
That's a good one.
Crafting parts. Oh, I'm gonna get a hell of a lot of crafting parts.
And so it's something that's been part of toys for years, whether it's Kinder Eggs or Hatchimals or LOL Surprise. We do think the way that we have implemented these kind of mechanics, and FIFA, of course, is our big one, our FIFA Ultimate Team and our packs, is actually quite ethical and quite fun, enjoyable to people. We agree with the UK Gambling Commission, the Australian Gambling Commission, and many other gambling commissions that they aren't gambling, and we also disagree that there's evidence that shows it leads to gambling. Instead, we think it's like many other products that people enjoy in a very healthy way, and like the element of surprise.
Okay, so just to be absolutely clear, your loot boxes or surprise mechanics you have no ethical qualms whatsoever with?
So I think you're recharacterizing my language. What I said is I think the way we've implemented our FIFA Ultimate Team packs is ethical.
Okay, other than FIFA, and other games that you provide, are you equally comfortable and relaxed about
For
them?
all of the games we have on the market that have a randomized content mechanic, a surprise mechanic, a loot box, I have no qualms that they are implemented in an unethical way.
Quite ethical, quite fun, enjoyable to people. She has no qualms that they are implemented or that they are not implemented ethically. No problem at all. Surprise mechanics. Is that really the best you can do? Surprise mechanics? Okay, guess we're going there. First off, fuck you, EA, you lying shit. Kinder Eggs are surprise toys, but loot boxes are not. There are a few things that separate them into harmless child's toy and predatory child exploitation. First off, the Kinder Egg is illegal To start with, the Kinder Egg is illegal in the US for being a choking hazard. Not related, but I just learned that and thought it was funny. Kinder Eggs also cost money, and you buy them for the chocolate. This product is the candy. Kinder Eggs cost money, and you buy them for the chocolate. The product is the candy. The toy inside is some little toy that the kids will lose in an hour or so and just sell the candy. Loot boxes are filled with items that not only have no real value, but are 90% not the thing you wanted, and not anything useful. And to make it worse, some games add an unfair advantage to those who buy a lot of loot boxes and get the rarer items. They're designed to give you shit, and the items you actually want or use come just often enough to give you hope and buy more. Sound familiar? Kinder Eggs are candy first, with real-world toys second. You don't hear kids complaining that they got the wrong Kinder toy, and you don't hear them especially going to try and buy another 12 more to get it. Kinder Eggs are candy first, with a real-world toy second. Loot boxes have nothing real. You don't even own anything you win. That's right, you have a license to use those items and the game for as long as EA feels like. Now, this is standard practice in the industry. You don't own any of the games that you store electronically or through the cloud. They are all licenses, just like music on iTunes. Some people take Kinder toys and save them. They become childhood mementos. I don't know, maybe that's your thing. The second Fortnite stops printing money, all the time, money, and energy you put into the game is gone forever. You will never see any of it ever again. Loot boxes are often in games like Fortnite, which is free to play, meaning anyone with access to a phone, computer, Xbox, PlayStation, or Switch can play Fortnite. This also means that if they get a credit card just once, they can save that information, and in some cases, kids have racked up thousands of dollars on their parents' card without any type of parental intervention. Fortnite's argument to this is that they already have parental controls in place. However, I would argue that most parents don't even know how to launch Fortnite, let alone find the parental settings. It's on the parents to monitor what their children do online, sure, but the concept is still new. You can't expect them to know what Fortnite even is. This is the first generation of kids born with the internet, and to think that their parents understand the internet better than their kids is just delusional. Not to mention, just like gambling, it's a small section of players who buy the most loot boxes. For the most part, these companies are taking advantage of people who are easily hooked by these mechanics and sucking them dry. Look, man, games are amazing. I grew up playing games. Like many other kids, video games were an escape from the real world, where I was the hero. I could do anything, anywhere, anytime. Games were the culmination of all forms of media and should be treated with the respect and dignity it's earned. You don't see people selling you a movie ticket box that might give you the ticket to the movie you want to see. No, because that shit's whack. EA, this shit's whack. You have taken my hobby that I grew up with and turned it into a sick psychological minefield where you're just trying to not get fucked out of your hard-earned money every step. You took a place for people who don't belong anywhere else, a place where we built as a community, a place that in some cases is the only haven people have. It's absolutely disgusting to see gaming be infested with fellow gamers who just don't play games. But the thing that's unfucking acceptable is that they are the biggest companies in the industry who profit year after year, destroying the integrity of gaming. And this isn't the first time this has happened either.
Was it just the other day? You were an achiever.
1981, Atari planned on releasing a port of the extremely popular Pac-Man arcade game. This game, at the time, 10 million Ataris were in American houses. They made 12 million copies of Pac-Man, hoping that with the popularity of the game, they would go and buy an Atari just for Pac-Man. Bold move, I hear you saying. But remember, Pac-Man is the most iconic and well-recognized video game character of all time. People may not know who Mario or Sonic are, but everyone knows Pac-Man. Todd Fry was put in charge of the port and came to Atari with an early prototype of the game. However, in an effort to meet holiday deadlines, they released the prototype as the full game. It could barely be called Pac-Man. 7 million copies were still sold, and many consumers sought a refund after their purchase. However, Todd made royalties on every copy, so to him and his team, it was Atari's 5 million unsold copies. This story repeats itself with the E.T. game, but that was the last straw. E.T. is a game based on the movie that, according to developers, was supposed to be done by Christmas, just 6 weeks away from the start of the project. They had to develop, market, package, and produce in 6 weeks. This led, unsurprisingly, to E.T. being terrible. But not just terrible. E.T. is famous for being the worst game ever made. About 5 million copies of the game were made. Almost all of them were returned, and they had so many copies in warehouses that no one would even dare to buy, that they had to dump them in a New Mexico landfill, steamroll them, and cover them in cement. It was so bad they had to bury it like a zombie just to make sure it wouldn't come back. Atari lost $536 million by the end of 1983. Bad games were everywhere. People were sick of sorting through the shit. Going down in price at this time, computers became the smarter choice over consoles, due to the fact that you could play games, do accounting, and have word processing all in one machine. And arcades began their slow decline into obscurity. The video game market was seen by many to now be a dying trend. Games that were $30 or $40 were now $5 or less. And had it not been for Nintendo and the NES, video games may have ended right there.
Mario! Mario!
Super Mario. 1, 2, and 3. There's power in numbers. Nintendo. Now you're playing with power. Each game sold separately.
With Nintendo's seal of quality, people began to trust games, or at least Nintendo games again. This brush with death is what I see today with Activision, EA, and other AAA publishers. They will run this industry into the ground just like Atari did in the 80s, and they don't even care. Games don't mean anything more than money to them. And if we don't show these companies we're fed up, we may very well see another crash. And who knows if the industry survives this time. So, thanks for listening to my rant. In summary, fuck off EA, you slimy son of a bitch. Sincerely, everyone.